JMM.
I can barely hear you, Steve.
Just have more hand.
Oh, thank God, because I thought my whole setup was going crazy.
I can barely hear you, Steve.
What?
Yeah. You put your... No,
Yeah,
it's
I can't
so
hear you
bad.
at all.
It's bad.
What?
What?
It's really that bad?
Oh, it's bad.
I've heard better.
Yeah, way better. I've heard better from Helen Keller, honestly.
Oh, ouch. That's unfortunate. Now he's... Oh, wait, he's back.
There he goes.
Does this help? Is it better? Because it's showing me that my levels are fine.
Your levels are fine? They're not fine to me. Edit mic settings. Mic volume automatically adjust. Okay, yeah. I'm canceling out your echo and everything. That's on your end. Because it's giving you haptic feedback. So wherever you're speaking out of, it's reverberating back because you have it from your laptop, I'm pretty sure.
Give me a second.
You need headphones. He act like it's his first rodeo. He's done this before.
Y'all are in less than 50 episodes, man. You get a lot of grace.
Really?
Oh, I mean, I think so. Granted, I don't have a podcast.
I mean,
I'm the person people call when they have a podcast and they're running out of guests.
No, we haven't run out of guests. You put up that video on Instagram. I was like, wow, that's smart. Like I tell people that all the fucking time. I'm like, hey, this thing that you're doing in the gym isn't the end all be all. How about you go see a therapist and talk about your issues first, and then you come in here.
Well, I mean, I
Hang
see
on.
that.
Can you guys hear me now?
That's way better.
Oh yeah, dude.
There you go.
Some bullshit around here.
No, it's not. That's on
So,
you.
fun fact: the actor who played Steve Holt. I
was not me.
No, I know because I had a roommate in LA who was good friends with that guy, and we all went to the Chainsaw Awards together, like almost 20 years ago. It was bananas.
Oh, that was for fucking Arrested Development.
Oh yeah. But like I just got a chance to meet the actor. We went and we're seat fillers at the Chainsaw Awards. I got to see how short Danny Trejo is.
How short is he?
Dude, he is crazy short.
Short enough that he had to announce it to us.
Yeah, like his he presented with the three chicks that were girlfriends with Hugh Hefner at the time.
Yeah.
And they could have used his head as a shelf. Like
Jesus
he was
Christ.
practically a push-up bra for those three. It was bananas.
Those three
Really?
are doing like a whole tour on how shitty Hugh Hefner was now that he's dead. Because it's like Holly Madison, Kendra, and somebody else. The chick that used to have a TV show with I think he was a receiver for the Colts back in the day, like Hank Baskett, and they had like a TV show together. After she got out of the Playboy Mansion, they wanted to follow her story and see what she ended up doing, but it was nothing fun. But now they're like going around and they're on a bunch of television shows talking about how Hefner like either raped them or drugged them or did et cetera with them.
Look. At that
But
point,
hey, when you get into that
you
business,
agreed. You agreed to live in this house with this very old man. You kind of knew what the fuck it was.
You knew you were getting a new Gucci purse every 3 months.
I mean, let's be honest. If
His poor son has to deal with this whole thing because he inherited the estate and it's just a mess of trouble.
you know what you do, you just sell it and part ways. You go.
No,
yeah,
he's if you look it up, they're renovating the whole place. It's like
What, the mansion?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Well, I mean, renovation is probably cheaper than the volume of bleach that it would take.
to get all the cum off
Just
the walls.
The inspector with a black light in that house.
Just
Everybody
It
would
would
go
look like
blind.
everyone would think that it's fucking painted a whole different color.
how is it on the ceiling fan? Like,
Why is it inside the ducts? Like all the way in those air vents, like 6 feet back.
no. Well,
But that
I'm
couldn't
gonna,
have all been you. You
Just-
know that was other people as well.
no, that's 100%. He's got some NBA player semen all over there. Magic
No,
Johnson
I'm talking
semen
about
is
the
everywhere.
women.
That too. Magic Johnson was all up in that place.
Well, that may or may not be confirmed that that's where he got HIV.
I really just put 2 and 2 together. Magic Johnson. I get it now. I get it.
Oh, because he has a Magic Johnson.
Yeah, no, you can't. Jesus Christ.
Not very many people refer to penises as Johnsons anymore.
I do, because it's
Well,
funny.
that's probably just because you're Ken.
When you personify objects and like make them like humanesque, or give them like human characteristics, you go, oh man,
That's a big hammer.
this is yeah. Speaking
I
of
mean,
hammer,
Good segue.
It's not small. It's not small.
I'm so proud.
The median
Yeah.
between all three hammers in this conversation, good ratio, good size.
Are you in the middle, Steve?
Substantial.
I would like to say above average. That's what my wife tells me.
I don't
know if
ask.
above average to what
I don't
she
want to have
means.
my hopes and dreams dashed.
It's like up in the. He's like, hey, won't touch the bottom of a tuna can, but it'll scrape the sides of that motherfucker. That's what Steve's saying.
That's terrible. That's absolutely awful.
That's a rough entry and exit,
That's terrible. There's blood everywhere.
especially
Anyways.
if you're bad with a can opener.
Oh man.
God, Jesus Christ. All right, we got Shawn here today.
Not even
Shawn,
6 minutes in.
Shawn, just tell everybody who you are and what you do. I'm going to pull up this thing as a side-by-side real quick, and everyone's going to see how I found you, or how we found you. So,
It was,
All right,
was it
yeah.
because of his hammer?
yeah, it
So
was...
So I'm Shawn Richardson. I invented the bodybuilding and mobile functionality hammer, and I made this video just a couple days ago. This guy Papa Swolio is up on. That's the one. That's all my fails, dropping the hammer and everything. This guy's all over TikTok and telling people to go to the gym, which is great in theory, but some people need a different motivator, and I do the best that I can to tell people, yes, go to the gym, get healthy, but mental health and physical health aren't different. And I don't know what kind of got in my head about it, but I went in the backyard and just kind of shot for a little bit and came up with this.
Here, I'll show it to you. I'll show you guys.
Oh,
You can.
good Jesus. This volume's real low, by the way. So you just have an entire conversation talking shit about this guy, kind of like.
Well, I
low-key.
mean, I'm not really like, I'm not talking, giving him a hard time about it or anything. It's more just going, look, yes, you should go to the gym. I think you should, or, find a piece of equipment. If it's BAMF hammer, that'd be great. But if it's a kettlebell, like whatever, find something that motivates you to go out and get active and all that stuff. But the industry as a whole is driven under, you can't sell somebody something if you first don't create in them this self-conscious deficit. And that's how most of the fitness industry works, of going, you suck. Your worth as a person is tied to your body fat content or how much you can lift and all this other stuff. And it creates, it might get you into the gym, but what does that say to the athlete who's 50 and doing it for the first time? You might be all right, you might be better than you were before, but you still have no worth as a person, because you'll never be who Matt Frazier, or pick a guy. And as somebody who's had a very tenuous relationship with therapy myself, like not doing it when I needed it for a long time, that's recently turned a corner, and it's going, have to be able to keep the perspective.
It's like, it's amazing what you figure out when you're emotionally available. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
It's nuts.
Said no man ever until right now.
I call a spade, man. I didn't realize I was emotionally unavailable until I sat in a IOP
Really? You
in the
didn't
Army.
know that you were emotionally
dude.
unavailable?
Yeah, dude. I sat inside this IOP group, and we all just sharing, and it's like 15 of us in this classroom every day except for Tuesdays, just talking. And I was like, oh, I don't tell people shit about my life. I probably should share and understand that everyone has their own brand of shit they're going through, and the worst thing that's happened to them is the worst fucking thing that's ever happened to them.
Now, was that like sharing group? Was that kind of like the movie The Other Guys, when all the cops are giving their who a badass story? till they get to Mark Wahlberg and they just
He's a
rip
Yankee
the shit
Clipper.
out of him. Yeah.
He's a Yankee Clipper. I mean, I haven't, when I did it, I mean, it was after like a deployment to Afghanistan, and I kind of put who I was inside of CrossFit. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be really good at this thing. I realized like for years, I was like, I'm going to be really good at this thing or that thing to kind of mask the shittiness of a person that I was, or the flaws that I had as a human being. And I wrapped my self-worth inside of that. You know, I didn't wrap it inside of, oh, I am a father. I am, I don't know, I'm a father. I do, you know, I exercise for fun. This exercise brings me a sense of community because I get to see people at the gym. Instead of taking the value as that, I took the value as like, oh, I am CrossFit when I'm not, or I am the Army. You're not. You're really not.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of it's that mindset is incredibly pervasive. The problem is, as soon as it falls apart, you end up with this catastrophic loss. So what, like, I trained for American Ninja Warrior. I was on that show a handful of years ago. Went to finals in 2016, and I was filming, and it's a reality show, so it's not necessarily about the best athlete. If it was, I wouldn't have gotten in. But no, I mean, no joke. It's about backstory. It's a reality show. Like they want to know who's got the most tragic whatever, and then put them on the course.
Am I the only one that's just now realizing that? I thought that was legit fucking. People were athletic enough to.
Oh no!
Finish the course.
The athletes are phenomenal. The producers of the show are doing a reality show. So
everybody's super fit and can do the course,
but they got a story. You notice everyone like MasterChef. They're like, well, you know, my grandmother passed away. Da da da.
Well, yeah, but that's different.
That type of thing.
American Ninja Warrior, I still feel like if you're good enough to do it, you can still beat somebody else. But you're saying if they have a better backstory than you, you could be 100 times better on the course.
How long have I been saying this to you? Sex sells, dude.
Yeah. So
sex sells.
I was when I ran.
God damn it.
I came in 6th in Atlanta when I ran in the qualifier. I didn't do very well when we went to Vegas, but I was the first athlete. I ran 11th out of 30, and I was the first athlete to touch the 9th obstacle. Like, so up until that point, and veterans, guys who had gone to Vegas and done really well, everybody had gone out on 8. As a rookie, I was the first guy to touch 9. And the guy behind me also hit 9. Now, I was there, and it was my daughter's first birthday. He was there, and he was saying, you know, he wanted to do this for his granddad because his granddad was getting old. And when they cut the show together, they gave that accolade to the other guy. Now, he is a friend. Like, he and I have built ninja courses together. He's a buddy. Like, I don't begrudge him at all. It's just the way the producers and everything work everything out. Mm-hmm. I know athletes, couples who are on the show that were broken up, but the producers were like, no, you're not. You're together. You're together this year. Or we're not letting you. So, and I'm actually going to be making a bid to, I'm going to submit a video again this year, just because this year has sucked. Like, my house burned down in February.
That's a hell of a story. That'll get you in.
And so whose house are you in?
Huh? So I'm in my parents' basement right now. But the only thing that survived the fire was the Ninja Warrior course I had built in the backyard. So with like this is not emotionally healthy, but before they'd come in and taken everything out, everything's burned and covered in ash and soot and water and gross. I turned my camera on and walked through the house and showed the damage and was like, all right, American Ninja Warrior, I'm submitting again. Here I am in my burnt out house. And like, because you have to do a submission video and an application and all this other stuff. They want to know the backstory in advance. It really doesn't, I won't say it doesn't matter to them how well you do on the course. Of course, I'm saying this now and like putting a nail in my coffin. They're never going to call me now. But
I swear I didn't burn down my house just for this.
Yeah, seriously. But I would say there's easily half of the people that they bring on to the show that they bring them on so they'll do badly. It's the car crash in NASCAR. Funny. I think they brought me on my first year because I was coaching out of a CrossFit gym and I was not like a tradition. Like I'm 30 pounds heavier than the average ninja is, with a couple of notable exceptions. So I think they brought me on because so they could watch me eat it. Akbar called me fat, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I competed at 180. I ran the course at 180, and Akbar's like, "That's a lot of weight to move around on the course." And he's not wrong. A lot of ninjas are like $150.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
When you're
nerds.
When you're running the course and like you're less than my warm up weight, interesting.
That's way less than my warm up weight.
Oh yeah,
terrible.
But
small flex.
Oh yeah. But no, the community of athletes and ninjas is amazing. Like those guys are ride or die. They travel all over the country. The kids that do it are freaking insane. They're trying to make it an Olympic sport.
So is it more or less a cult than CrossFit?
CrossFit, yeah.
Ooh. It is culty. I don't know. You know what? You could probably get to a third date before finding out that somebody does Ninja Warrior, as opposed to the third minute before they find out they do CrossFit.
That's fair.
That's slightly unfair, I feel like, because there's a lot of people.
But everything's a cult, right?
Immediately, no, I'm talking about the date part where like people are always like, whenever somebody does CrossFit, you always find out like 3 minutes into them saying something to you. I feel like that's not real. That's just people being like, oh, you look like you're kind of strong or some shit. And then it's like,
yeah, okay,
do you want me to just say I go to the gym, or do you want to know what I do? And most like avid CrossFitters will now try to hold back because they don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
But it's like a new thing.
You know, honestly, it runs in the same vein as like the whole therapy thing. Our culture is so jacked up when it comes to where your identity is pulled from that something completely logical, which is, oh, I'm part of this, like this fitness movement. You know, that thing that like didn't exist, and then in 18 months there were gyms all over the country, and like all of a sudden it was the end all be all for all these people, and got people moving for the first time. And yes, it ran into problems for a couple of different reasons, and has hence worked some, like, why would you not be proud of being like,
well, the other part is most people like, they'll open up the conversation, like they'll start talking about like their fitness levels or whatever their journey is.
Yeah.
I can't fucking stand that. But they always open that up, and then they're like, well, you know, like trying to get a rise out of that other person or explain to them that like, hey, like I kind of do enough, or like, hey, this is what, you know, you should be proud of me for doing. Mm-hmm. And then that normally opens the door for the other person to be like, oh yeah, like last weekend I dragged a sled around, or blah, 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 or I went to Lifetime and this, that, and another thing. So it's always a way to open it up. But I feel like it's often a rebuttal as like people explaining their community that they're in.
Yeah.
I don't ever.
If you're in high school and you're like one of the kids in the chess team, there's also probably somebody talking about their chess team or their buddies' Dungeons and Dragons club.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't ever just talk to people. Like, I don't ever go, hey, I do CrossFit. I just.
No, because it feels fucking weird.
It not that it feels weird. I just. No one expects that from me. Dude, I'm a 6'1" black guy. I'm 235 pounds. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm not supposed to be upside down on my hands. No. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, but you also don't walk up to people and just immediately tell them that you're an engineer.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't.
Exactly, because there's no fucking reason.
You should try that. Mm-mm. Like, you should yell that at people in parks. That's.
No, he just.
I have a good job. You just walk. I will retire comfortably. Yell that at folks.
I have a position with the government.
Yeah.
Like,
we'll see how many people stay around you.
It's funny. I don't even but that's the thing. I don't technically work for the government. Technically, I don't.
Well, the state of Colorado.
Yeah. You know how many people technically don't work for the government? They're out somewhere offing somebody in another country. That's not the justification.
I know some of those guys. They're pretty cool people. They need some therapy.
Happening right now.
Yeah. A buddy right now that just went to Guatemala. I'm like, what are you going down? And I just stopped mid-sentence. I was like, well, never mind.
Know what? I'd rather not know. I hope you lied about what country you're going to. I don't want the information.
Hope you did. I don't know. I kind of looked at how in a way CrossFit was the solution to like the most like pressing problem of our generation, or I mean, I guess since the conception of like, since people started kind of setting themselves up in cities and being populated, and it's just people sit still too much.
Yeah.
Like people just, I was talking to this old lady the other day. She older lady. Her name's Nancy. She's a real sweetheart. She sold me a shop vac, and she lives in Black Forest. She's really sweet. She was talking about
you
it.
a shop vac?
For $40. It was great. She was like,
like
I'm
one
just
of
trying
those
to get
people
rid
that
of it.
walks around door to door?
No, I found her on Facebook Marketplace. She knows how
I
to
was
use
gonna say,
technology. It's wild.
I haven't seen people like
But
that in a long time.
this lady had cancer. She has upper respiratory infections like crazy, like because she's getting older. She's about, I think she said she was 82 years old. But she gets up every morning and she walks down to her driveway, which is freaking long. I mean, it's like if you walk, it's probably a 40-minute walk. She walks down there every morning, comes back up, takes her dogs out. I mean, she's not the picture of health, but she was like, yeah, I used to go to Control Chaos down, across the Control Chaos in Colorado Springs. And I was like, well, why'd you stop? She's like, well, my airway collapsed because I'm getting older. I was like, but what was your solution to that? She's like, well, I'm walking now. I'm just walking. It's just the bare minimum. Look at you, Steve.
That's very sweet, but there's an important part of this story that I feel like needs to be addressed. This woman has a 40-minute walk on the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's 80, so we can assume she's running at about half speed. So that's a 20-minute walk driveway for an average person.
Yep.
You went to a location based on a Facebook Marketplace ad with a 20-minute driveway.
Yep. Yep.
You, sir, need CrossFit. Like, you need people in your life to be like, that's a bad plan. Like, you shouldn't do that. It went, hey, Ken, what'd you do this weekend? I went to the middle of nowhere to buy a shop vac off an old lady who lives in the middle of effing nowhere with no clue who is going to be at the other end of this driveway waiting to skin me. What are you doing?
She's waiting to pull a Jeffrey Dahmer.
Whoa.
Yeah, I do things all the time that aren't so great. Like I don't know. I think of it as like male privilege because I can pretty much go anywhere I want to, and no one's they're gonna look at me and go, well, I don't think I should rob him. Whereas,
sure. Little old lady isn't gonna rob you, but her son, who is 6'8", skinning people wearing their faces in the basement, is not gonna have a hard time.
Full Texas Chainsaw Massacre, didn't we? That's
Absolutely.
Where we went. That's where we went. You know what? Now that I think about it,
man,
you were right. I think the black alarm in my head didn't go off because I saw this really nice old lady, and I was like,
God.
I'm not gonna
we
go
get
in
off
your
this
house.
old lady topic. This woman won the most unlucky lottery I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
She really did. Health-wise, she did, but she's a sweetheart, man. She was like, yeah, this is what's going on, da-da-da. I'm like, dude, like, and you're still walking. She's like, yeah, it'll kill me, but I'll be all right. I'm like,
yeah, she's
Jesus
just
Christ.
using that money that she sold or she got from you to go buy drugs.
Damn, I didn't think of that. She had a really nice house in Black Forest.
Hey,
she's 80. You're gonna take that from her? Don't do that.
Take what from her?
You should enjoy. She should enjoy the pharmacological
drugs.
Dude, when I get old, like when I get like 60, 70 years old, I think 70, 75, I'm going to do every drug I can think of just to see what it's like.
Let me get back to this original topic. Was this dude that fucking gave you shit? Was this one of those fucking Insta fitness people or whatever the fuck that are like trying to be motivational?
I mean, he's never sent anything to me. But like all of his posts, and he has he actually uses an OnlyFans for its original purpose, which is like
to help people.
So this might blow your mind. OnlyFans was not conceptualized for porn. So he actually has like a training profile on OnlyFans, and I've never been to it, but it's like when it comes to OnlyFans, I'm just gonna go, you know what? I like but most of his posts are some variation on go to the effing gym. There he is. Look, and he's put the work in, whether or not that's on the bodybuilding side. I have no idea, but I rarely see guys in like the bodybuilding space doing rotation, like doing Indian club, doing mace, doing that type of shoulder health, shoulder maintenance, shoulder rehab type work.
He looks a little bit too comfortable in that maid's outfit.
Yeah, he's...
Dude, if you're going to wear a maid outfit, you better be comfy.
He's into some shit.
I mean, if you're gonna wear a maid's outfit, you might as
I'm
well.
all about it.
Make
Did
it a
you?
little
You didn't
bit
even tag him, did you? I don't even
What
know.
on
I
his
did.
profile again?
Papa Swolio is the guy's name.
Papa Swolio.
I'm gonna say it right now. Cool guy.
Ah, right
There he is. Look at him.
Oh
He's
my
got.
god.
He's a Maybelline commercial. He's a beard struggle ad.
Oh wait, hang on. This dude, is this the one that gave you shit, or was it that dude in that video?
No,
That's-
so this is the same guy. He's never come at me. I've just seen like every post is some variation of go to the effing gym, and you know he probably gets paid. He's got millions of followers, so I can't begrudge the guy what he's doing. I've had bad experiences with coaches who do this type of thing. I got into fitness in college with a guy who was like, "You lift what I lift, or you go home," which is oh yeah, and he was on steroids. Like I didn't know. I'm lucky I survived. But you know, this guy is the correct motivator for a certain demographic of athletes. Like, yes, I've trained athletes where they needed to be chased. Like you needed to be on them to do every rep. And I've trained athletes where what they wanted more than anything was coach to be running right in front of them, trying to catch up. Okay,
first of all, he has well, that's funny. I do like that.
So enormous.
Did you see that in his bio, Ken?
Wait, what did he do? Let me go back.
He had his version of pronouns.
Peaceful. Oh yeah.
Peaceful.
based on what I've seen, I got the impression that he would think it was funny. Like, but he seems to have a relatively good sense of humor about himself.
Who's his one follower or following? Is it like his wife?
Himself? It's himself.
That's fucking himself.
It's himself.
This is officially the furthest I've ever gone into any of his profiles.
This is funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Let's see.
So,
by the way, Mark Poen.
It's my work.
You said come on the pod?
Yeah.
LOL.
Yeah.
What are we in third grade?
Nope. That's what we're doing. That's where we are right now. We're doing that.
We need to use very much a more well-rounded invitation.
No, fuck that. No, fuck that. I'm just gonna send it because odds are it's gonna go to his general box. He's never gonna check it. But if he does check it, he's gonna go, "Oh,
I wonder if that's
another small black guy. Let's get on his podcast." And it's not really mine.
I wonder if that's what keeps happening with a certain somebody from BCS. If everything just keeps going to his.
You're talking about Rich?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
No, don't do it on here. We don't need to do it now.
Who are you guys trying to get a hold of?
So I talked to Rich Froning while we were at BCS, and we've had a couple of his gym guys on here. So while I was there and I got to chat with him for like 10 minutes, I just quick mentioned, I was like, hey, we'll drop it off some other time because I knew he was going to Italy for a while, but he just hasn't responded to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, maybe it just went in the junk.
Buy 30 pounds of bison from him.
That's a little expensive.
Buy enough bison that he sends you a T-shirt and then go, hold the T-shirt. I will take your presence on the podcast.
I want my invitation fucking answered, motherfucker. I got a hold of Matt Fraser in a lot shorter of a time frame, and that was just because we pissed some people off, apparently.
No. I have his phone number.
You have his phone number. But he reached out to us because of the shit that fucking happened on here.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't reach out to us just because he was buddies with you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say buddies. I mean, he knows who I am. He knows I exist. We were at the games and we were having conversations.
I mean, I have his phone number now, too, but
I'm proud of you.
Oh, man. I don't have Matt Fraser's phone number. I have I'm just kidding. I have a really awkward photo of me with Matt Fraser holding a hammer, and like I met him in a meet and greet type thing, and stood with the picture, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can pass this hammer off, and Fraser will hold it. And I was like, yo, you want to hold a hammer? And he looks straight ahead. I'm looking at him, but his press corps is on the other side of the cameras, and I'm just like, they're like, don't touch whatever that is.
Don't do it. Like it could be PEDs. Don't worry. Don't do it.
Oh my god.
The hammer's full of Anavar.
It's gonna get into your skin through your hand, through your sweat.
Yeah, seriously. That was
either that, or if he like kind of dropped it and somebody else got a picture of it, then it'd be embarrassing.
Well, so when the hammer is disconcertingly large, and most people think it's made of foam, Like that's what the accusation is.
Probably not.
It's fake, right? So to counteract that, I've gotten really good at one hand just passing it to somebody. And if I do it quickly enough and you hand somebody something, most of the time they will just take it from you. It's a terrible habit that most humans shouldn't engage with.
It's like drugs. Take candy from strangers.
Here, hold it. But I'll just pass it to someone and let go. And they're like, yeah. And now, like, the conversation has started. It's probably not very safe, and I'm going to get
Just
sued.
don't do it with children.
Yeah, don't hand them to children.
Or you can just use the kid as a hammer.
Put this in your candy bag.
Yeah, but it's been a useful way to start the conversation and have somebody go, "Oh, this is not fake." I'm like, no, it's not fake. I didn't buy the table at this expo to bring a fake a piece of blown plastic and try and sell you on it like as a mobility routine. You would have noticed.
Does it really work? I'm just gonna hear me for a minute. Does it really work? Like I thought about trying it for a while, like the bars and just kind of spin them.
So the thing is with rotational work, that type of odd object rotational training is not new. I've not invented anything. Indian clubs have been around forever. Maces and Goddess have been around forever. The thing that I did was I watched a movie and got really anal retentive about the way a choice an actor made. Because my dad's family are lumberjacks. Like my dad didn't ground me. He just bought wood unsplit. Like
go split it. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
I did that as a child.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. Definitely. Two cords unsplit. Make sure the grades go up. So in the Avengers, Hemsworth throws the hammer like it's a baseball, like it's weightless. Now he's worthy, and I'm a comic book nerd, so if you like, I will defend his decision making as a performer. But I just kind of had beef with it, and was like, you can't throw a hammer like that because the whip action of a throw. If you throw a baseball, your fingertips are the end of the whip arm. So when you release, the baseball goes. When it's a hammer, the whip arm extends to this focal point of wherever you're grabbing the hammer, and like leverage comes into play. It changes things. So I watched it and I had the thought and I went, okay, before I do anything stupid, I'm going to build a hammer and see if I'm right. And I built a 30-pound hammer and I almost dislocated my shoulder.
Fuck.
But then I started goofing with, because the first thing, I was an idiot. The first thing I did was I tried to throw it like a dummy. Yeah, exactly. Facepalm. But then I started messing with it and, swinging it like a kettlebell. And I'm going, oh, okay, my grip is doing something really different from what it normally does with a kettlebell, because with a kettlebell, you can keep a neutral grip. Now I've got a pistol grip and we're changing things up. And then I started pressing it, and the uneven distribution of load caused a different CNS response, and the way it was moving in my shoulder was different, and less weight felt heavier because I had to be more intentional with movement. And at the time, like early in the development, I was working at a CrossFit adjacent style gym. It was a company called Iron Tribe. They're out of Birmingham, Alabama. They were originally a CrossFit, but the guy who owned the place wanted to affiliate. CrossFit said, if the money's not coming to us, we're not letting you do it. So he split from them and kind of started franchising these gyms. And so I was working with athletes and watching, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's the guy who spends all of his time under the barbell, but no time stretching. Forget about the fact that Kelly Starrett is like pouring millions of dollars of information out on the internet for free, like a psycho. But I'm going, guys, the reason why your snatch is stalled, the reason why you are, you can clean the weight, but you can't jerk the weight. This is a mobility issue. And so taking...
Hey, Santa Claus, what are you pulling out of the fucking bag?
Just keep going.
But I've got this hammer, and I know the Indian club will work. I know the mace will work. But the guys that I was working with, it's not a competition. The mobility work is not part of the WOD, so you can't win. And if you don't win, you can't lord it over your friend that you like mobility'd harder than them.
And then you're shittier 9-to-5er than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So, but as a coach, I'm going, I really want you to get better, but more so than that, I don't want your stupid to get you hurt. And now I have to deal with an attrition problem. So I brought the hammer in, and I'm like, look, swing it around your head like this, and taught him a really standard 360. And now you've got guys who wouldn't touch a mace or wouldn't touch an Indian club going, I'm Thor. And I'm like, that's right, idiot. Just do your mobility work. Like, it's just the shape that gets them going. And then it took me about 2 years to find the right material so that I could slam this thing on the ground. Oh,
I didn't quite see Rogue up at the top, and I thought we were on
a butt plug?
Where have we gone?
It's not a butt plug, everybody. This thing is like the answer to everyone's like shitty shoulder mobility. It's one of the answers.
This is what that guy who cheated in all those chess matches was putting
like.
up his
This little Gemini thing, I use it before I snatch, before I clean and jerk, and I put a barbell in my hands. I lay on my back. And it's in my T-spine, and I just bridge up and down.
Oh, dude.
And then I open my shoulders.
Have you messed with So Right?
Yeah, I have a So Right, too.
Do you have the one for the spine? The spinal one? I got a full kit from So Right. I did a conference with them a couple of months ago out in Maui, and they have one that arches and will bridge your upper back. Dude, that thing is bomb. There it is, the black one.
The Black Knight. That's funny.
But two of those nodules are closer together. Or you can see up at the top, they're closer together for your to get further up your spine into your cervical area. But yeah, man, that thing's great. So taking that same drill that you were doing with the barbell overhead laid out on the floor over that thing, it'll open you up through your rib cage as well.
Damn, I need to get on that.
Yeah,
mobility has always been my issue. It's always been mine because I'm just muscle.
It makes all the sense in the world that the mobility is the issue when you take a program and you make one of the primary motivators winning. Like how do you win at hamstrings? You know, it's so.
Well, you have the biggest.
Yeah, exactly. I have the biggest, most brittle hamstrings in this room. Watch as I try and hamstring curl a 20-pound dumbbell and snap something.
And you can't. No. But yeah, that's why I had my coach had me. I was like, why am I doing all this knee over toe stuff? And I started doing it. My knee pain went away. And I was like, what the fuck? Why am I dragging a sled for 3 minutes at a time? He's like, just do it. It's okay. And I'm just doing it.
Shut up, idiot. Do your mobility.
It's been 8 weeks. And like,
shut up, you big
Jesus Christ, man. It made a huge difference. And it's only been a few weeks. My lungs improved.
So my program just recently went through a little bit of a shift, and I'm doing a lot of hill sprints. And 3 or 4 times backwards up the hill, like trying to bound backwards, is necessary before I go. Otherwise, my knees are shot the next day.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
I'm starting to develop a little bit of hip pain. It's a little bit of lower back pain. So I don't
like high in the back of your hip or like laterally?
So most of my original, this probably started like 2 or 3 months ago. I started waking up, and when I stand up from this couch and like I'm not super slouched or anything, right? I'll stand up and I'll have to kind of like tuck my hips back underneath me and like squeeze my butt real tight to relieve some back pain, or else I'll kind of sit up. So I thought that it was my psoas, right? But then it started to radiate into my hips on its own. So like sometimes I'll wake up and my hips will just be extremely sore, not necessarily tight, and like I'll get in the gym and snatching, clean and jerk, back squat, the works. Like it all still happens at the same weights, and it doesn't feel painful while I do it. It's the before and the after effects.
You know,
all of a sudden start to feel very like stiff and achy. Now I thought it was psoas. I really did. And
yeah,
I've done that prong thing that you just had up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't necessarily alleviate the pain.
Okay.
So I'm in the process now of going through the musculoskeletal clinic that we have here to see if they have anything for me on it, because I don't have any bruising. I walk fine. It's just like some days it's seriously achy.
How long you been in the shoes you wear?
I mean, I have, I don't know, like 5 to 8 pairs of shoes that I cycle through.
Are they all the same model?
No. So I have like the ones I currently wear a lot are the Fronings. the new
Okay.
ones. Then I have the old Fronings. I have 2 or 3 pairs of Nanos. I have a pair of Reebok running shoes that I specifically wear only when I run.
How often do you run?
I would probably say once a day. I try to warm up with a mile run.
Okay.
Ooh,
Take your shoes off.
yeah. Do stuff barefooted.
Take your shoes off when you run.
Really?
Yeah.
No joke. Here, okay, look.
Well, so first to start, the first set of shoes I was running in were Nike. They
Yeah.
were the Pegasus.
Okay.
And then I realized that my running felt odd, and my hips at that time had started to hurt. Now I can't blame it on the running specifically. I normally would just do like at least a half mile of like light running. It was probably like an 8:30, 9-minute pace, right? I'd finish it, be perfectly fine, go through my workouts, whatever. But the next mornings, right, I'd wake up or certain times when I would stand up from long periods of sitting, and that's where the pains and like the aches.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a pair of Reebok running shoes that are much more cushioned towards like the heel and the center of my foot. So the striking doesn't feel the same. It feels better.
And that's the problem. So biomechanically,
Nike
Your
fuck
foot?
everyone.
okay. Have you read Born to Run?
Supple Leopard, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's long story short. Your foot is not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're like from birth. If you ever watch I saw a video of this recently. If you take a baby, like
Mm-hmm.
a couple months old, and you press into the bottom of their foot with your thumb, their toes will wrap around your thumb. Like that's
Sure.
the amount of dexterity. The thing that modern running shoes do is they make a Band-Aid on top of bad mechanics
Mm-hmm.
so that you can run badly.
Okay.
Try this. Find a hill with grass on it.
Okay.
Okay. Run like 60% sprints up the hill and pay really close attention to the way that your foot is striking the ground. You're going to make a natural midfoot strike. Your heel's not going to touch. Your foot is going to stay underneath your hip. You're going to be lean forward. It's basically a pose running technique without having to, pay for the class.
Dude, you can go to YouTube and they have a whole series on there.
Yeah. Then take that same thought process, go out onto flat ground and try and mirror the foot strike
Yes.
on flat ground.
Okay.
And because your heel, for those of you just listening, this is great. Your heel is this big stone of bone, all right? But you've got this leaf spring of, stuff, and this is how your body, receives and distributes force. Fun fact, I got fired from a running store for getting into this argument with the proctor as I was being trained on how to sell running shoes, because the running shoe industry is based on the idea that your ankle distributes force side to side, not toes down, toes up. It's not dorsiflexion. It's not that. It's running laterally. And so as we're in this training and they're explaining all this stuff, and it's how neutral running shoes work and motion control and all that stuff, the huge cushions, I was like, that's not how the foot works. And she was like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, but really it's not. Like it's totally not. And we argued for a minute or two, and then she went, Shawn, we need you to stay after the training today. And they changed my job. They would not let me sell shoes because people would come in and go, hey, I've got knee pain, I've got hip pain, I've got all this other stuff, but like, what shoes should I get? And then turns out when you cut really close and you're like, you should leave and not buy shoes. You should jump up and down barefoot. Like, because the foot works. You just have to train the foot. Like, a modern running shoe is the equivalent of not straps, but like the artificial hook that used on a deadlift. It's going, rather than strengthen the problem, we're going to Band-Aid the problem, and it'd be akin to only deadlifting weight that you need straps for.
Okay.
Like, just do it is the dumbest phrase in all of marketing, because I have never seen a more jacked up group of athletes than runners. What the thing I was contracted to do at this running store was an event. It was like a big scavenger hunt. That was like a 5K that they did once a month.
Mhm.
And every time we did it, I would find the nearest CrossFit gym and I would send them to their squat expert and just go, make these people do squats
Yeah.
because they can't. Like, they get knees. You think like heavy, like power lifters doing quarters is bad. These are people with no body weight and they're quarter squatting into a couch and just falling over. But they can they'll crank a marathon in 3 hours. It's nuts how biomechanically compromised they can be.
So do you think that runners are, I don't know, not an unhealthy way, but it's not a productive or efficient thing over time?
Not to avoid the question, but I think that's so circumstantial. But I think athletes who want to be great athletes will be great athletes in whatever modality they choose to be great in. They will ask the question of, where is my weakness and how can I kill it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what you learn in level 1. They tell you, like, do the thing you suck the most at. Be well-rounded. They're like, if you have a power lifter, a marathon runner, and a CrossFitter, odds are, by like law of large numbers and how averages work, that CrossFitter will come out on top regardless because they
Even
know
if
how
they're
to squat.
doing moderately well at each thing.
Yeah. So one of the best marathon runners I know, actually he kind of goes to the track down the street from me at the high school. I can't remember what it's called. Something Ridge High School, and I just go up there and use their track because it's open. And I was like, dude, what else do you do besides run marathons? He's like, I back squat and I use kettlebells. He's like, that's the most that I do. He's like, I don't really press because I don't want to get upper body heavy because my thing is marathons. But he's like, the biggest gain I had was, I used to run a marathon at like 240. And he's like, when my coach got me to squat, just a barbell, an 8-week cycle, he's like, from 240 to 210. I was like, what the you cut off that much that fast? He's like, yeah, because I just learned how to bear my own weight, and it corrected so many things in my spine, my hips, my knees. He's like, I can do an air squat now. He's like, I couldn't before, but I could run a 240 marathon.
Yeah. And it's important to be able to locomote quickly. Especially if you're talking about athleticism, but also, you get marathoners. Marathoners aren't athletes who are being forced to rapidly change direction. So you take a guy who can crank marathons and he decides he's going to go play a game of ultimate frisbee out one weekend. That guy's ACL might be in a risky spot because he just doesn't cut, but he has a tank. Like, he can run forever. He'll put guys into the ground, but all of a sudden he has to change direction really quickly and we have something to worry about. So it's just a matter of taking your athlete and going, what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
What are we trying to attain? But dude, train barefoot, and you don't have to do it all the time. But
now, when you say train barefoot, do you mean do all movements barefoot, or do you just mean like, hey, run and lift barefoot?
So I do almost all BAMF hammer stuff barefoot. I run in Hiracha sandals by Xero. Xero is the company that make great zero drop minimalist shoes. That's where, but when I'm doing Ninja Warrior stuff, I add some cushion just because now we're falling, you're dropping from height and I want something underneath my heel. I will warm up my barbell barefoot. And when it gets above 65%, I'll use heel lifts or I'll hop into some lifters. Now it's been a minute since I've done a real barbell program though. Dude, I've done this guy's program. This is worth it. If your knees hurt, if your hips hurt, and he's a pretty nice guy, but and the shoes. Oh, those are zeros.
Yeah, zeros. They're zeros.
That
Let
first
me get
video.
rid of this thing. But I have the program, and quite literally, this is what it looks like, Steve. For everyone that can watch on YouTube, So I do the zero, and it's just this. You're doing the same thing every week, but the difference it makes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're just essentially doing knee over toe stuff with no weight, dragging the sled. And then upper body the other days is glute stretch, ring row, full range ring push up. And the reason why he has you do the ring push up, like I tell everybody that comes in the cross is brand new. The reason I have you do that is because I want to see you negate the friction of the make your own friction, because the ring is a frictionless object. You have nothing stopping you going left and right. If you get those stabilized together, everything else will be easier.
Yeah.
Watching people get on a set of rings, even for ring dips,
Scary
for the first time, it is nothing but the wobbles and the shakes.
Dude, so BAMF hammer does that in snatch and jerk motions. I like it for technique work. I've got a couple of friends who CrossFit that I've encouraged them to use the hammer warming up. Oh, look at all those hammers, and not one of them's mine. Oh, there's me.
There you go.
But like if you're warming up barbell, we have one range of motion, one axis that you don't have to deal with, because if you're holding onto the barbell, your hands aren't getting farther apart. Okay, and you're probably not really tipping side to side very much. So we're mitigating force front and back. But other than that, you're not really working on it. With the hammer, once it goes up, it's constantly trying to fall out of your hand, because all of the weight is over top of your thumb. None of the weight is underneath your pinky finger. So the useful part about that is when I was working with, Olympic lifting athletes, so often you would see their grip, they throw the clean, and the first thing that happens is their pinky and their ring finger fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have to regrip. Now, one of the reasons why that's happening is because they're not doing their mobility in their off time. But they're also not training the 2 weak fingers to take load. If you're not constantly putting both of the fingerprint of these two fingers into the handle of the hammer's just going to fall out of your hand, and there's no saving it. Like, it's coming out, it's going to hit the ground. So now your athlete is using less weight, but they have to be more intentional about their position. So if you get them warming up with something that's not putting as great of a maximal load on the musculature, but it is asking for a high central nervous system engagement, their warm-up is becoming more effective because they're having to focus on position because they must land correctly. Then you put them underneath a barbell, and the barbell, like, getting it to land in good position seems easier.
I had that same conversation with one of the kids that I coach. He's like, why am I doing kettlebell SOTS presses? I'm like, well, a bunch of reasons. Like, there's all of these reasons, and I'm going to go to the central one that you just hit, is like your pinky finger and your ring finger, I guess, or whatever it's called. Those two last fingers are what you need when you get ready to jerk, and that's where you feel the most pressure at. Without the prerequisite strength of those gripping down the bar, it's going to slide forward like this. You won't be able to hold the bar up. You're going to be stuck here. Yeah. And the second part, I told him, I was like, if you're holding this kettlebell up here, the demand in your central nervous system is so great that you have to focus on this one position, and you have to focus on getting the mobility to get it beside your ear, and I'm going to make you walk. And what is that doing? He's like, well, it feels like it's turning everything on my back. I'm like, exactly. All those muscles that you don't wake up when you warm up, we're just doing it with a kettlebell. Yeah. And the same, there's a similar premise when you have somebody in an overhead position and you ask them to squat. You're asking their spinal erectors to stay contracted while they move through a full range of motion below the waist. You can get somebody who can squat, all the way down to the ground, and all of a sudden you put their hands over their head and have them just link thumbs, and they can't move anymore. And you go, why is your system that linked up? Why can't you separate those two things? And a lot of it's just training. It's not, it's not a value judgment. It's just going, hey, we found a weak link. As a coach, weak links are injury. That's the place where injury is going to be. Yeah. If you remember a couple years ago, I always like when the CrossFit Games comes around because there's always an injury du jour. It's like, talking about Brooke Wells when she snapped her fucking elbow. No, there was the year where they were doing dynamic ring dips, and there were like 15 they tore their biceps.
Pecs. Yeah. Pecs, yeah. And I look at that and go, do you have any idea how jacked up your shoulders got to be for your pec to be the thing that goes, oh, for heaven's sake. Like, the pec is huge. But
it's massive.
The problem is not in this giant muscle that is not strong enough. The problem is we've got this huge gap between your primary mover output capacity and your stability system's ability to come alongside it and make sure everything stays in place.
Support.
There's a reason why guys like Chris Duffin have his elite level. You know who Chris Duffin is?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up for everybody
Kabuki
that's
strength.
watching.
That guy's a madman.
Yeah.
Yo, he pulled a foul for 2 for his like 50th birthday.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy.
Nuts. It was the most camaraderie I had during COVID. Actually, me and 10,000 people all on Instagram watching this guy pull.
What? I watched that.
But he has his elite level power lifters. He has a product called the Shoulder Rock. It's an adjustable mace, and these guys are warming up with Shoulder Rock. They're cooling down with Shoulder Rock because they're benching 700 plus, and you just have to make sure that the shoulder is stable enough to be able to take that kind of load through a full range of motion.
Right
there it is. Sleek looking thing, man. And you'll watch him move 40, 50 pounds on that. I mean, he doesn't do that for warm-ups and cooldowns.
You're like, how does he do that?
Yeah, and of course, and you can see how he does it. There's no fat on the guy, so every time he moves around, you're like, oh, and that's when your middle oblique fires. I'm watching it underneath your skin. But first time I pulled 400 on a deadlift was on 2 shots of whiskey because of this guy.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. He's just sitting back.
Oh yeah. That
not only that, but his age and having that kind of flexibility.
And he can do it. I can barely do that. That's what I'm working towards.
My ankles would have snapped.
For all of you that are listening, this is Shoulder Rock thing, and we have, Chris Duffin is kind of basically on his shins, and he's sitting all the way back and putting his butt to his toes with his Shoulder Rock in his hand laterally.
Yeah, he's doing a natural leg extension, so laying back into that prone position, what's he got there? 10 pounds on the end of that Shoulder Rock.
That's
it's just leverage. So the whole thing probably weighs 15 pounds, but that weight, that 10 pounds, is 2 feet off his midline, and he's doing this extension.
Yeah, his center of gravity just changed to his core, like straight at the top of his abs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If your center of gravity could be measured with like a dot, this center of gravity is moving all the way to the side into his oblique, and he's staying stable through the mid. But yeah, check this out. Like, that's nuts. And that's a guy who, squats 6. That's probably, of course, I haven't seen him lift in a while, but like I think he picked up the Guinness World Record for the most 500-pound squats in 2 minutes a couple years ago.
Now, can we start putting this guy on Sports Center instead of the guy that like does bench press and back squat with like fucking furniture?
Oh, he's doing that on that bar? Oh my god. That bar is hard as fuck to use.
Have you seen the video of his spotter miss with the hooks?
Yes.
No, wait, what?
That shit is funny as fuck.
Bro,
wait, here?
No, it was a while ago, but he was I think he was squatting 600 something pounds, and the guy with the hooks missed on one side. And so you see,
No. I think he pulled. I think he when the hooks come in, like the guy with the lever.
Yeah,
it looks like that guy pushes in too early. So when he comes in to rack his bar, he's off.
Yeah,
so like he didn't technically do anything. He just like made it to the mark.
Yeah, the guy just missed, but the bar goes wonky. Right. It throws the entire rack to the side, like
Jesus,
the rack hits the floor, and Duffin made the guy who did it wear a T-shirt that said "I had one job" for like a month.
I fucked it up.
Yes, I will say this whole conversation that we seem to be having, Ken, I think it pairs pretty well with this new gym that I got a job at, where this new owner that I work for is absolutely
There it is.
100.
Instagram meme that went viral. That of course it's going to be in the middle of a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, here he goes. But like,
Jesus, so many weights just broke. Oh my god.
and it stands as a testament to how tough Duffin is. That I mean, look at that.
That's
That was like
crazy.
8 plates.
That's stupid.
Jesus.
That's fucking stupid.
But I
It-
recognize now more so than ever, right? The need and like how basic like our level 1 kind of gets, right?
Yeah, but it's good.
Is something that people have gotten away from, and it was something that I had a conversation with this owner, and the standards and expectations he has for his gym are the high. I don't want to necessarily say the highest I've ever seen, but for the most part,
Dude, you have a ghost.
That's my wife with
Oh.
my son who just won't fucking come out already.
Have her eat some spicy food. What'll happen?
I'm
Pop
fucking,
right out of there.
I'm so ready for this fucking kid to be born. But
Is it your
What-
first?
yes,
Boy, girl?
boy.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something that nobody's going to tell you.
Uh
Point his artillery
oh.
down.
Yes.
Yep.
Down.
Don't worry. We've already had that.
You already had that? Okay. When
Put
my
his
son was
wiener
born,
down when he's
when my son was born, we only had friends who had girls. And so
Oh,
for the
that's
first like 3 weeks, I could not figure out why he was soaking wet. And it's because I was laying him up. And so he'd pee out the top of the diaper. So it's the only piece of advice I give dads now is just
it's the first time you got to decide whether you're tucking it to the left or the right.
I found out the hard way. I changed my son's like first or second diaper, and he was like laying on my stomach, just taking a nap. And I'm like, "Is he drooling?" And I was looking at his head, I was like, "He's not drooling." It's like, "Oh, how did he piss on me?" And I looked, and I was like, "I put his dick up top, like I
Yeah.
floated it up."
Can't
You
do
get
it.
him into the tuck roll.
Sorry, I interrupt you.
No worries. I'm hinting at the fact that one of our discussions was how far away affiliates have gotten from the basic coaching steps and what it really means to, like, if you have a drop in
On
Right.
board.
that person, if they drop in, they're like, yeah, I've been doing CrossFit for like 5 or 6 years, right? And you're like, okay, I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to ask you what all your numbers are and all that other shit, right? But I'm going to immediately watch you if you don't pick up a barbell the right way, if you don't load weight the right way, if one of your motions seems off, even if you're a drop-in, put the bar down. I need you to grab a PVC pipe because you're not going to get hurt on our watch.
Just show me.
And
We're
that,
gonna treat you the
and
same
honestly,
way that everybody else gets treated.
that's how it should be.
Yes.
And this is a
But
problem with
it
the
is
weight.
very hard to do that because a lot of people would just be like, okay, before I pay you the drop-in fee, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get out of here. And
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. But a lot of gyms right now are like, if I can get my 20, 30 bucks out of you, I'll get my 20, 30 bucks.
Yeah, and it's hard, but that mentality, that should be universal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we work in healthcare. This is
Pretty
healthcare
much.
because you're healthy and I'm caring for it. It's
Yeah.
not sick management. That's different.
Prevention.
And one of the things that attracted me to Iron Tribe was their onboarding process was a month long.
Hmm.
New athletes, you had a month class, 3 classes a week for 4 weeks. And they're like, oh, that takes too long. And I'm sitting there going, hey, teach me to accounting.
yeah.
You can't teach me to accounting in a weekend class? Then stop coming in here thinking I did this with a Muscle and Fitness magazine on the toilet over the weekend. Like, this is actually my job. Like,
It's a
I
profession.
know what I'm talking about. And being able to look at an athlete, because Iron Tribe let people travel. So if you were in the Iron Tribe network, people could go, if they had the membership, they could go at any gym. And the guy that I ran the gym and I, we would get in trouble because guys would come from HQ over in Alabama. They'd come to Atlanta to train.
Mhm.
And I'd watch a guy start loading the bar and I'm like, okay, the weight's going up. All right, the weight's going up. And I'm watching him warm up. Okay, weight's going up. All right. And then he goes out for his run and we'll strip his barbell down. And he comes back. He's like, where's my weight? I'm like, no, this is what you should be doing. Because whatever that weird, like, humpy reverse curl thing was, it wasn't a clean. And they'll go back to their home gym and be like, yo, they stripped my bar. They wouldn't let me clean, blah, blah, blah. And then the gym calls up the coach. Hey, why wouldn't you let Frank clean his 215? Why are you talking to me like I'm the one that's wrong? Why did you let him touch this much weight? He can't clean 150.
Mhm.
His mobility is garbage. Like
I was having this conversation with a kid today. He was like, "Yeah, he's like it's like 190 pounds." And he was like, "Yeah, I've only been doing CrossFit for a year, but he's like doing the compete stuff." And I'm like, "Well, I was like, let me watch you clean." I was like, "Let me watch." I was like, "What's your percentages you guys are doing today?" He's like, "Oh, like 85%." He's got 195 pounds on the bar. Pause right there. I stopped him. I went and got a PVC pipe and I just stood next to him. I just stood there. I was doing like wall facing handstand push-ups. I stopped what I was doing and I just stood there. Me and Alex looked at each other. Alex looked at me and I was like, "I got this, man." Like, he's the owner. I'm like, "Don't even sweat it." And I'm looking at him, and his second pull was so broken. The weight just would collapse. And instead of pulling and extending for a long time and pulling yourself under, he was dropping. And the weight was hitting him. And
he was surviving the crush.
Yeah, he was just surviving it. He was just making enough space to get there.
Compounding your shoulders onto your lower spine.
Exactly. And I gave him, and when he was standing up, this is what he looked like standing up. I'm going to show you. He was like this. He was like
a weird hump.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a belt on. And I'm like, "Dude, what is the function of your belt?" He was like, "I guess to brace my back." I'm like, "No, it's something for you to push against with your core so you can keep yourself upright and save your S spine and L spine."
Yo, you ever used a breath belt?
No, what is that?
Oh, check them out. So I know the guy who invented it used to be a kicker in the NFL, but it's elasticated, so it creates that like the feedback loop that creates the external compression through your spine, but it gives with you, and it's got 2 layers to it, so you can mobilize with it. You put like a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball in there, and like that thing will dig around, and you see them all over the place now in in powerlifting competitions, guys warming up with these things instead of more traditional like leather.
They often wear these under their belts too,
yeah,
I think.
They're great. And Jesse, the guy who invented it, like he travels all over the place and teaches with them, but it forces, because the belt gives, you can breathe into it and actually feel the belt move, so the feedback loop is better. And that's one of the things that I talk to athletes about. Like, yes, you can pursue the performance goal, you can go after I want to go to the games or whatever, but most people, what you need is the training that you want to do better, that you can internalize what's going on and at least be able to ask the question, is it good or is it bad? Mm-hmm. If you only move correctly when a coach is watching you, now you are really limited. You can only afford personal training because a coach can't teach a class. If he turns their back and your snatch goes all wonky tonk, like, you're going to kill somebody. Probably yourself. You're going to end up guillotining yourself with that barbell.
And that makes a class go silent very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then everybody is very concerned going forward.
But getting an athlete to, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with this, you're in your general class of 20 people, you've got 1 or 2 athletes that you're like, I can give you a nugget and you're good. Like, you're going to spend the rest of my class trying to understand what I meant by touch yourself as little as possible on the top of your quad on your pull.
Yep.
That's what you're going to do.
Hit the hip pocket, find a power position. Position.
Just, or, that athlete that you can look and go, nothing was bad. And that was like, that's the highest praise you can give them.
But now you then look at them and you're like, okay, well, now do that 2 times in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
And they will go head over here. Like, when I first got to this gym, the coach didn't really know me, but he just asked, and he was like, hey, like, you're going to work out. You're like, we've heard that you're, been doing this a long time and you're a prior coach. So tell me what it is that you think you can do here. And I just gave my honest opinion. I was like, I think I'll go well through all of this. There's running, the lifts I'll do well at. That's fine. And he was like, what about the row? I was like, I'm fairly decent at rowing. And he's like, okay, well, afterwards he told me, he's like, once you said fairly decent, he's like, I knew that meant you were shitty plus. And I was like,
no, or the opposite of the spectrum where you go, yeah, I'm really good at that thing. You go, this is something to watch.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. But if that guy turns out to be really good, it's like, okay, he's not a liar. But if you say, yeah, I'm okay, like I'm above average, it's like, okay, let's see this. So it was like 2 minutes into the row warm up, where it's just like the beginning of class, and he's just like, row 30 seconds. And he just gives me a cue and he goes, hey, keep your heels down the entire time you're rowing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
it should
that's
be a
never-
leg
okay.
workout. It should
Well,
be
so-
a leg workout.
well, so he goes, during this, you're going to do a lot of squatting. Do you want your quads to blow up and then everything to go like shit? I was like, no, of course not. He's like, all right, we'll try it. And then he's like, I need you to shorten up your row because at this point, right, at a certain distance, I get into the pull in. He's just like, your heels immediately come off the ground and you go straight to your toes. So
burn out your calves.
the entire portion of the like first half of the workout, I'm just thinking about this. Then come the second half, I lose thought of it. I'm on my toes the entire time as my leg blows up, and I'm just fucking dying the entire time.
I like this guy.
But it's just a one thing that he noticed, like, oh, hey, like, cool, you seem to be pretty good and confident in everything. Now I'm going to find the one thing. And that's what, like, their coaching style of coaching me as a coach and getting, like, the 2.5 weeks worth of classes under my belt with them was not only do they want everybody, all the coaches, like, you need to be very familiar with the athletes and you need to be well endowed with the culture, right? And you need to, like, the people when they show up, these guys want a service from beginning of class to the end of class. Like, this gym is huge. It has 2 sections, like 2 whole building sections, right? There's one half that is CrossFit without barbells, right? And then there's another half that's regular CrossFit. But when they leave at night, they also have a helping staff that sets up all of their boxes, all the equipment that they need for the next day is completely lined up. There's cones for everybody to stand at. So it's not like COVID where you have a designated space that you can't leave.
But your shit's there.
Yeah.
It's though when you walk in, if you have a class of 3 or you have a class of 18, it's like, hey, cool, you're walking in. I don't know you from Adam, right? We're going to sign your waiver real quick. But everybody else, I can tell them a destination and a place or a material to stand by to execute something at while I get you set up. Then once I'm done with you, all right, cool, I need you third cone from the left. Go over there, stand there. Don't pick anything else up. I'm going to tell you what to do in a second, right?
Yeah.
Still has complete
Wait, what's the name of this gym?
It's called Oso CrossFit. You can look it up right now.
Their shit's together.
We're gonna get them on.
That's
here in a
that's
couple of
that's
days.
that above and beyond type stuff.
So go ahead, look it up real quick, Ken, on Instagram.
OSO?
Yeah, it's just OSO CrossFit.
Hawaiian.
Like OSO
Or-
collar?
Hawaiian Samoa?
OSO and then CrossFit.
Or is that USO?
And then so their whole thing is you'll have all the equipment laid out already. You know the workout. They go through comp train and Mayhem. They use the coaches' notes on Sugar Wad and all that stuff, right? So like this one side that says Oso Grit is the side where they have a brand new rogue rig. Like it's probably 2 years old. There's not an ounce of chalk on the entire thing. They don't use chalk. The bars and the rings on it are completely chalk free. They don't do any back squatting, any pushing, no barbells whatsoever. There's, I think, I want to say 12 or 15 air assault runners. They have the same roughly skiers, bikes, and rowers.
Jesus.
And it's literally, it's like Orange Theory in a sense, except it is CrossFit, right? And it's a sponsor, obviously, CrossFit Gym. They just call it Grit. For it's all the 9-to-5ers that want to learn how to do CrossFit. So I was right there. I was just to the left of all of that in that picture.
There you go. Yeah, that's amazing. And that's, you were talking earlier about culture and community.
Can I scroll down a little bit?
The prevalence of CrossFit really hit its
All right, so that picture just to the right. Okay, so we'll get right back into what you were saying. So this is like one half of the gym, right? So this prep work essentially is all of these boxes would be laid out if they know they're doing box jumps, right? And the helping staff basically will assist you with either camera work if you want to get some videos, handling the music. They'll handle the rags / cloths for cleaning shit. Like
Jesus.
each athlete will grab.
There it is.
Which
They have rags for cleaning. They're stealing DNA. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
They're stealing DNA.
Those
they're adding you to a
rags-
registry.
This is a CRISPR feeder facility. They are making
Bill
clones.
Gates sponsors.
This is the only. unless you're paying $500 a month to go to this gym, they are getting something on the back end.
So they also have a washer and dryer on site. It's like relatively brand new shit, right? You can keep scrolling through, but we all did a competition a couple of weekends ago. They had some good athletes out there, but they even had this was another thing that we kind of talked about.
Wait, is this part of the gym? Is this inside part of the gym?
No. That's,
Jesus Christ!
That's down at the AT&T Center here where the competition was,
okay,
right? But so if you can click on any one of those, but there is an RX guy that actually that dude down squatting down, right? His name is Eric. He is a coach who's a semi level athlete, right? Like semis. He competed alongside an athlete from the gym who is a scale division athlete, right? And I was like, that's, probably not super fair. But I mean, I also did intermediate that day because I got asked by a certain person to do it with her. But when I started digging into the rest of the gym and as I got closer with everybody, I started to realize that there was a coach in this guy, right, who did a competition with an athlete so that they would understand the work and what it takes to do a competition, where you have so many athletes that will come into a gym and be like, hey, I want to compete. And then they'll sign up for Mayhem Compete or Comp Train or some shit, right? And they'll just start blowing through the workouts constantly week after week, right? And some of them wreck their body, some of them do it the right way and they get better. But a lot of them, they'll be like, hey, I want to compete. I'm immediately going to do RX or the highest division that I can, right? This gym doesn't push for people to do that stuff. They don't push for you to necessarily go out and compete because that's not what they're trying to get out of you. They're trying to make you a better athlete consistently and continuously as you go. But this coach showed an athlete essentially that you did a CrossFit competition at a scaled level, and it was extremely not hard or difficult for you to finish it, but you realized how much work it takes to compete and to compete at a high level, even in scaled.
Yeah.
Right? Now you take those same athletes that come in that can do most RX movements, if not all of them, but you can't get them to do doubles, triples, 10 reps at it, right? Consistently and doing it well. Form breaks down, et cetera. They get tired. Those people will go join an RX competition when they should, at minimum, even do a scaled version of it to see if they have the capacity for it. Yeah. Then if they want to move to an intermediate one, do that. And then if you really are like a Ken or like some of the guys that we used to train with who can really keep the throttle down for an hour to 2 hours, right, where there's multiple events in a day, then you'll see an RX athlete. But if a lot of gyms, people come in and it's the same thing with just workout styles in general, like RX weight versus, scaled for what the class says. If you come in and your immediate thought is like, oh, I can move 185 in a snatch, that's great, but you're not here in my class to show me how strong you are. It's my job to have you in my class and make you aware of how to get better every day.
Yeah.
That's what I like about this gym so far. And
that's nurturing athleticism.
Yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's rare. It's rare in a lot of facilities.
It is the one thing that out of all the gyms that I just kind of like reached out to in this area that I really got a taste for it. Like there's one that was kind of like the owner was a little bit of a joker, and I could tell I probably would have to ask him once or twice, like, hey, how come I haven't gotten my paycheck yet? Moved on from that gym. But this one, it was almost immediate. Like they were very open. Most gyms, they like to hire from within. They like you to be a part of the community for a couple of months. Then they kind of test it out from there. These guys were like, no, like we can teach you and, get you to be a part of the community. That part's not that hard. But it just depends on what type of a coach you are. If you don't like to coach the way we coach, it probably won't work out. And if you can't adapt to this, it probably won't work out. And so their thing was not, I don't know how many times they said it to me. They're like, we can tell that you know what you're talking about, but can you deliver it?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you deliver it? No, not can you talk in front of people, but can you be so personal or personable that when somebody walks in that you have no idea who they are, that you genuinely care for their fitness and for the fact that they are here to take your service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was game changer to me because I was like, affiliates don't do that, but that's what affiliates are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool because then in the background, like there's plenty of people in there that are just like, hey, I'm just here for weightlifting. I'm just here to do this. I'm just here to do that. And this was also an owner who I thought took the first time I've ever seen this approach, maybe other than like a Rich Froning or a comp train type deal, where he said there's a bunch of different things that like when you open up a gym that you really want to be able to do, right? And one of the things that gyms struggle with is like when they open, they don't necessarily buy all the equipment. They try to get all the members first, right? So that you get all that membership fees and then you buy your stuff. Well, I think what he did was he tested that out and realized that like it's a hard way to give an entire class a row workout if you don't have enough rowers. And then you learn that people like your coaching, but it's just like you either have to raise the amount that you charge or you have to find a way to finance this stuff. So he said, well, one of the things I can take out, one of the things I can control is the amount of equipment I have and how ready I am for certain class numbers. He's like, so I bought a gym on a corner in downtown San Antonio, right? Super expensive. And then I went out and I bought as much equipment as my gym could fit. And now the only thing I have to control, other than, obviously repair of equipment and the building itself, is the product that I produce to these people on a daily basis. Now, how easy is that compared to most gyms that have all three as a problem?
Yeah. No, that's...
I was like, you guys, no wonder why you're successful.
Maybe one day somebody will try and buy a bunch of hammers from me. We're not quite there yet.
You can do it.
We'll get you on Shark Tank.
You don't need venture capital money. Look, do yourself a favor. Don't ever take VC money, man. Don't do it.
All right. Well, I got to get out of here. I got to go buy dog food that I forgot to get because...
You fucking idiot.
You know what, man? This kid, if he would just fucking hurry up and show up, I wouldn't have any stress anymore.
Steve, okay, there's a couple of solutions. One I already mentioned earlier is spicy food.
God.
Number two
Jessica,
is, do the
food.
thing that made the baby.
She started
Did
eating
she say
pineapple,
pineapple when he said, do the thing that made the baby?
No. No. She said that afterwards, but she can't hear him because
Okay. Sure.
Okay, reverberate that to her. Tell her I said
That's
do the thing
hilarious.
that made the baby.
No. So we talked to the doctor about that the other day, and so she was holding out on that because we're trying her maternity leave and like the way it lines up. It would be better if he didn't come 2 weeks early, right? But now we're 10 days away, and her biggest thing was she wanted to get her hair done before the baby came.
Why?
Why? You're gonna sweat it all out when you have the baby.
Hey, I'm not.
Can you put it on speaker? You're gonna be
put it on speaker.
Look like garbage.
Yeah, it's gonna be the worst pictures you ever take in your life. Trust me, it's gonna be so violent
You're gonna be
and gross.
so happy having passed a watermelon through a very tiny space.
Yeah, and you're gonna poo yourself too. It's inevitable.
Yeah,
it's
you're gonna
happen.
poo in front of
Not
strangers.
necessarily judging you,
Yeah.
but they're saying that
Everyone's gonna see
your
your
hair didn't
JJ,
necessarily
Jess.
matter because
Yeah.
you're gonna.
Oh, fuck no, I did.
Good luck, bro. I
Okay,
can't wait
yeah.
for her to be like, "Don't ever touch me again."
Yeah, in the middle of birthing
That's
your
what-
child,
that's
he's
what
be
I'm
crowning,
waiting
and
for.
she's gonna be like, "Jesus Christ, you know what?"
Oh, so here's.
Hopefully, her mom is here because her mom's supposed to fly in next Monday, I think, and so that would be great if the kid waited till next Wednesday because then her mom could be here for that.
You should
And at
probably
least I'd have
not
more of a
hold your
gauge.
breath. So there are lots of fun ways to mess with midwives. The one that I liked most was I asked if I could bring my own utensil to cut the umbilical cord. And
About a hammer.
no, I asked. She goes, "Is there like a family?" I was like,
Heirloom?
"No, I've got a katana." And she took 3 minutes to like. You want to bring a
blade.
sword? I'm like,
Blade.
yeah, is that not a problem?
It's a part of my
delivered
culture.
both of our kids in places where most of the staff were like, "Look, we know we need men because we don't have a job unless you put the baby in there, but we hate you." So,
Oh my god, poor guy.
dude.
We're having it at a military hospital, so at least they know that they.
Oh, dude.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, do whatever you want.
Don't
Yeah,
they have an MP come and like stand at the door and go, "Go, go, go"?
Like you're jumping out the plane.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one last
Dude.
NCO that's just
The
yelling
baby's
at
got to
them to
bend the
look out.
knees and roll on the ground.
Oh
You
my
gotta
God.
take advantage of your free parking, Steve. Because
Dude, the
'cause-
thing that I love is watching the Family Guy episodes where
2 years.
Stewie makes all the jokes about like being in the womb or coming out and like being born. I don't know if you guys have seen those ones, but like he apparently like killed his brother, like twin, when he was in the womb or whatever. And so he comes out first, and then they pull out a casket behind him. He's like, "Oh no, did Dave not make it?" And, like I just see that.
Oh man, people give me a hard time about a product with corners.
Oh my
It's
God.
She's got badge caskets and shit.
So, like, every
Stewie's
time-
really killing it.
Every time I watch Family Guy and I'd see Stewie do some stunt about like being born or babies coming to life, I find it so funny. I just immediately think of that shit.
Something's wrong with all of us.
But all right, let's get out of here.
Dude,
We'll
go
do this
ahead.
again sometime soon.
Dude, that was great,
hey,
Shawn.
thanks for having me on, guys.
All right,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Well, good luck to you. You're getting your house rebuilt, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully by Christmas we'll be back in the house.
Oh, that'd be a sweet Christmas present for
It
you.
Yeah, and then
really
Ninja
would.
Warrior can pay for some stipends for something.
Yeah, fuck American Ninja Warrior. I thought that shit was real.
No, it is real. The athletes are legit. It's produced by reality TV producers.
Exactly. Fuck them. That's like
sure.
if you told me the NFL was now fake. Immediately, I'd stop watching.
Wrestling is fake. Did you know WWE is fake, Chris?
Hey.
I mean, sorry, Steve. What?
Hey, wrestling is not fake, my man.
What? You
Don't you
are
dare.
high off your rocker.
Scripted but not fake.
Scripted but not fake.
If you can
But at
get
least-
board with
at least you
scripted but
know
not
that.
fake, you should be fine with a reality TV producer going, "Your shirt's not orange enough. That one's got the wrong." Like that's
Yes, but even
part
when
of it.
you were a kid, you knew that wrestling was scripted, right? But you still knew that like they were
No, I
diving
didn't.
onto tables and
I-
falling off of shit.
I had a skewed version of reality when I was a
Oh,
kid.
I
Until
owe
about
it-
12 years old. I thought that shit was real, man.
So I remember when I first saw WWE, I think it was like 2000 or something, and DX was going on, and they read off a note card, and I was like, oh, somebody's telling them what to say. Now, obviously, that's not the entirety of what the scripted version is, but I always had a sense after that it was like, oh, hey, they have a script to go off of. So
I'm going to go do all these fucking burpees.
how many
I thought
you
were
got?
gonna say drugs.
It's 3 rounds of 15 burpee box jump overs, 25 GHDs, 15 burpee box jump overs.
Luna,
We
you wanna
we
go
did
to
a review
that
push once at the gym, and we were like, all right, for every new review we get in these 30 days, we'll do 10 burpees at a shot. We
Or
picked up
Luna's
33
saying,
reviews
"Don't
on Google. So
Both of them
330
ain't very
burpees.
fucking drug food.
and everybody in staff raced it.
Let's see the way it
Dude,
is.
no. I hate doing burpees. This is the
All
best.
right, I'm getting out of here. I will talk to you guys soon.
Jesus.
Bye.
Bye, Steve. Kick him out of the lobby. Removed. Bam.
Yeah.
Removed. Got him.
Dude, it was murder. 330. I pulled it off in 29 minutes.
You remember that I think it was an open workout, 7 minutes of burpees? Yeah. Yeah, it was like 2013 or something like that. Scott Patrick did like 196. I had to do that like 2-3 months ago, and I think I got 172.
Dude,
And I was dying.
see, I really like when workouts like that show up in the open, where it's like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? Last person air squatting on tempo. Just set the metronome and down, up, last person to bail, they win.
Just a death by wall balls. Just like
yeah. Just shake it up.
just
I've had a couple of people ask about me trying to make, taking the hammer to Rogue, and I sent them an early design and like never heard back.
Dude.
But it ends up working out. Because I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Like,
I mean,
I know that the hammer looks like a joke, but it's actually more technical than you would expect. And I just don't want to be the complicit in 10,000 labrum tears over the course of the United States. Like
make them in
into
various weights, man. Like, Shawn, just make it like a 10-pound to a 30-pound version. 10, 20, 30. Bam.
Oh,
That's what you get.
so we do them in kilos, but it's 5 kilos, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, 20, 25.
Oh, yeah, you're good then. You got all your ranges. Like, it just put the disclaimer there going, hey, train with this at your own ability.
Well, right now I give away a 12-week program for free.
Oh, I saw it. I pulled it up, all the videos on there.
Yeah.
Like how to press, do all that.
You know, it's just as much information as I can give out so people can use the equipment and not get hurt. We're in the process right now of transitioning that all over to Somble, which is a coaching video platform. And we'll be throwing up a lot of new content on there now that we have the new design. The reason why the hammer design changed is because the house burned down. I was building them myself, like cutting the rubber, welding. Every hammer that's just square is made by me. These are now pressed by a company that makes chip rubber bumper plates out of Lexington.
Dude, I don't know how you do that. I've thought about doing so many different business ventures like that. Like,
I'm an idiot.
And I'm like, I don't know how to.
I'm an idiot. I'm married a talented woman. That is how this works. I parent children, and I support a wildly talented beast of a marketing woman. Like,
Jesus, you're lucky.
Yeah. That is how that works. BAMF Hammer keeps its head above water, but you know, if somebody came to me right now and was like, I'll license that off you right now, I'd be like, okay. Because I'm a coach. I don't want to have to worry about prices of rubber coming from China and steel tariffs and all that garbage. Go make your $1 million. Here's my 20%. Leave me alone. I'm going to be over here building programming and working with athletes.
That's pretty nice. Yeah. You would take 20%. Like that's fine with you. Like that, your baby letting it go for.
I mean, it would probably cost a chunk to get the licensing off me because I own the patent. Yeah. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, if you want to make a rubber hammer, like a hammer that you can slam on the ground, like a sledgehammer and tire, it's got to be mine because I own the patent. Own the patent on the design. Dude, some of the worst cardio, like anaerobic sprinting, is a Tabata of slams. It's the worst thing.
What, like, just hitting it on the ground, just
straight down, straight up, because it's closer to dribbling a basketball. Because every bit of momentum you put into the ground is going back up, and it's wham, wham, wham. So in like the first round of a Tabata, I'll get 23, 24 slams, and by the last round, if I'm pulling 8, it's a good day. Like
I'm about to try that. What weight are you using?
20 kilos.
20 kilos. Jesus Christ, man.
So, but it's rough.
40.
And,
oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, and for everybody listening, rather than tell you how much that is in pounds, I just wrote the algorithm on the unit. So every hammer has written on it kg equals lb times 2.2.
Yeah.
I'm like, the whole world uses metric. The only people who don't use metric are like us and Iran. We need to figure this out.
We need to like that. The empirical system is not doing so well. It's it's not great. It's not. When I went to Korea and it made a lot of sense with kilometers per hour. I was like, oh, this is way more precise.
It turns out it's all multiples of 10.
Yeah, that's it.
You can cut 3 years of math off of all your kids if you just make everything metric. Turns out you guys are just trying to employ senior high school teachers.
That's it. And man, oh God, yeah, teachers are they're getting fucked. Anyways, yeah, they're getting screwed. Yeah, I gotta go and do all these fucking burpees. I'm trying to pawn it off. I don't want to.
All right, well, fine. I don't want to be on this podcast anymore because you have to go do some burpees.